Good day everyone. For today, our group will be discussing aspect and purpose of taxation in the Philippines. Let me ask you everyone, when you hear the word taxation, what comes to your mind first? It is taxes, money, government, income, payment, public services, roads, healthcare, education, or maybe revenue. And that's all is correct. When we say taxation, it is the process of collecting money from people and businesses by the government. The money collected through taxes is used to support public services and government activities, like I said earlier, such as education, roads, healthcare, and other services needed by the people. In simple words, we pay taxes and the government uses the money collected to help provide services and support the needs of the country. Now that we have a basic idea of what taxation is, let me first introduce myself and the members of our group. I am Josephine Rose Alparajales, and together with me are Francis Loyli Prieto, Lovelyn Bartolo, Jane Hortelano, and Charmel Memorada. We are the Group 5, the Power 5 Girls, and we will be discussing the different aspects and purposes of taxation in the Philippines. Now that we have introduced our group and given a brief background about taxation, let us proceed to the first aspect of taxation, which is levy. Before we discuss what levy means, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered who decides who should pay a certain tax, how much should be paid, and when it should be paid? The answer is the law. This is where levy comes in. Levy deals with the provisions of law which determines the person or property to be taxed, the sum or sums to be raised, the rate thereof, and the time and manner of levying, receiving, and collecting the taxes. Now, let me explain that in a simpler way. Levy is the legal process of imposing a tax. It tells us who or what should be taxed, how much tax should be collected, what tax rate shall be used, and when and how the tax shall be collected. For example, the law can identify a certain property as subject to tax. It can also provide the rules for determining how much tax should be paid and how the tax will be collected. So basically, levy gives the government the legal authority to impose a tax and provide the rules that must be followed. You might be wondering, what does imposition mean? In simple words, imposition means officially requiring someone to pay a tax. For example, if the government imposes a tax on a certain property, it means that the owner may be required to pay the tax according to the law. So when we hear the phrase imposition of tax, we can simply understand it as the government legally requiring a tax to be paid. Let's take example here in the Philippines. Imagine that a person owned a house and lot in Valencia City, Bukidnon. Now, let me ask, can the owner simply decide how much real property tax they want to pay? The answer is no. There are laws that provide the rules for real property taxation. One example is Republic Act Number 7160, also known as the Local Government Code of 1991. Under Section 232, local government units are given the authority to levy an annual real property tax on real property, subject to the condition provided by law. So in this example, the local government does not simply decide to collect the tax without a legal basis. There is a law that gives the authority to impose the tax and provides the rules for it. This is what we mean by levy. So to make it easier to remember, levy is about the legal basis for imposing and collecting taxes. It answers questions like, first, who or what will be taxed? Second, how much tax should be collected? Third, what rate will be used? Fourth, and when and how will the tax be collected? Therefore, levy is important because it makes sure that the government follow the law when imposing and collecting taxes. And that concludes my discussion about levy, which is the first aspect of taxation. Now that we have discussed how a tax is legally imposed, let us proceed to the next aspect of taxation, which will be presented by Princess Loily Prieto.
Good day, everyone. Have you ever wondered, after the government computes our taxes, how does it actually collect them? That's where our next aspect of taxation comes in, the collection. So, collection refers to the process or manner of enforcing the payment of taxes. In simple words, it is how the government makes sure that taxpayers pay the taxes they are legally required to pay. Think of it this way. Imagine your teacher announces that everyone needs to submit a project. Giving the instruction is one thing, but checking who submitted, reminding those who forgot, and giving consequences to those who refuse to submit. That is similar to the idea of collection in taxation. So, in the Philippines, the Bureau of Internal Revenue or the BIR is mainly responsible for collecting national taxes, while the Bureau of Customs or BOC collects taxes and duties on imported goods. Bureau of Internal Revenue and Bureau of Customs ensure that tax laws are properly implemented. The law also provides different ways for taxes to be collected. For example, employees usually have taxes automatically deducted from their salaries through withholding tax. Next is business owners and self-employed individuals file tax returns and pay their taxes directly. Next is importers pay taxes and customs duties before their goods are released. So that is an example of how the taxes are being collected. But what happens if someone refuses to pay taxes? So the government has the legal authority to enforce payment. It may send reminders, impose penalties and interest, or even take legal action against taxpayers who intentionally fail to pay. So these enforcement measures encourage everyone to comply with tax laws. Now you might ask, why is collection so important? Imagine if people knew they had to pay taxes but no one actually collected them, the government would not have enough funds to build roads, hospitals, schools, bridges, or provide other public services. In short, without tax collection, many government programs would stop or become limited. So collection is not just about asking people for money, it is about making sure that everyone contributes their fair share so the government can continue serving the public. So to better understand or to summarize my topic, collection is the aspect of taxation that focuses on how taxes are enforced and collected from taxpayers. It ensures that tax obligations are fulfilled according to the law, making it possible for the government to fund public services and national development. Thank you.
So, good day everyone. So, today I am going to discuss the process of taxation. So, particularly the primary purpose of taxation. So, before I explain the primary purpose, it is important to know that the purpose of taxation are qualified into two. So, the primary purpose and the secondary purpose. So, in this presentation, I will focus on the primary purpose. So, according to our presentation, the primary purpose of taxation is to provide funds or property to promote the general welfare, so protect its citizens and enable the government to finance its different activities. So, but what does this mean? So, the government collects taxes to raise money. So, these taxes are the government's main source of revenue. So, which is used to provide essential public services and carry out its responsibilities. So without taxes, it would be difficult for the government to serve the needs of the people. So the money collected from taxes is used to build and maintain roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, and other public facilities. So also, it also support education, healthcare, disaster response, and other government programs that improve the
life every citizen. So another important purpose is to protect its citizens. So tax revenue help funds the police, military, firefighters, and other government agencies that maintain peace and order, ensure public safety, and respond to emergencies. For example, when we pay taxes, the government can build more classrooms, improve hospitals, and repair damaged roads, and to provide assistance to communities affected by disaster. That's all. Thank you.
Secondary purposes. A is to strengthen anemic enterprises by giving tax exemption. This means that the government helps weak or struggling business by not making them pay certain taxes. The goal is to give these companies a chance to grow, earn more profits, and become stronger without this help. They might close because they can't compete with bigger business. B is to protect local industries against foreign competition through the imposition of high customs duties on imported goods. This means that the government put high taxes on products that came from other countries. Because imported goods become more expensive, people will prefer to buy local products. Instead, this products Filipino business from being outcompeted by cheaper foreign products. Thank you.
To reduce inequalities in wealth and income by imposing progressively higher tax rates. People with low income pay lower or even no taxes at all, so they can have enough money to pay rent, foods, and any daily expenses. But somehow, wealthy people or those with very higher earnings pay a higher percentage of tax on the extra money they make. The government uses this extra tax money to fund things that help everyone like free education, healthcare, and cash aids, and also jobs programs and building roads in poor areas. This way, the huge gap between the rich and poor people gets smaller, and more people get a fair chance to live well. And to prevent inflation by increasing taxes or ward off depression by decreasing them. Inflation means prices of goods go up fast because everyone has too much money to spend all at once. If the government raises taxes, people and businesses have less extra money to spend. Demand for goods slows down, so sellers can't keep raising prices quickly. This keeps costs stable. When lowering taxes fixes a low economy depression, so meaning ang depression or recession happens when business close, people lose jobs, and nobody has money to buy things. If taxes go down, people take home more pay, and businesses keep more profit. They will spend more, buy more product, and hire more workers. This wakes up the economy and stop it from getting more worse.